what's up everybody? It's Isaac from Alchemy here, and this is episode 27 of the Alchemy Devlog. We've got a lot of great stuff to go through this week, things like System Builder. Part of it's out there in the wild, and you can use it today. We finally checked off persistent encounters on our big to-do list, so that's out there for you all to use, making your encounters much better. We've got Vaesen on the marketplace. As you can see, the Nordic Horror Weekend is happening right now. It's very exciting. Partnership with Start Playing Games there. We've also got a Coriolis preview live for Kickstarter backers, and Wave 5 of the Kickstarter delivery is done. Kickstarter backers should have everything now, and I'll go through what that means towards the end of this video. I'll also take some time to talk about what we're working on next, what delivering the codes means for you, and what the rest of the team is going to be doing, and answer a few questions that have come in since last time. With that out of the way, let's dive in. First up, let's talk about System Builder. We've been talking about System Builder for a while now on various channels, but let's get in and see what it actually looks like. So I'm going to start here on this account in my content universes, and I'm going to create a new universe. We're going to call it Devlog 27. And for my game system, it's important to select custom. The dice features here only work in a custom system today. So we'll call this one the Devlog 27 system. And let's create the universe. The first thing to note is up in the top left of the universe page, there is a new drop-down, and this is how you access the System Builder features for a universe. This is available in all universes that you can edit, not just custom, but the things that are in here, some of them only work for custom universes. So if we click in here, we see Sheet with a nice coming soon graphic. We're working on this now. You've got dice. This is the area where you can define custom dice and the dice tray for your system. And then we've got theme, which is the same theme that you used to see in the universe modal. When editing a modal, this is the theme for your universe. All the fields here are exactly the same as they were over there, and it all works exactly the same. And then we have some more coming soon panels for game. This is where you'll be able to adjust what's visible in your game and then settings for the system. So the theme stuff works exactly as it did before. You can type in, a custom color and you see a preview of that. You can upload your accent fonts, your glyph symbols, sheet headers, all the different image assets that you need to sort of theme your system, and a bunch more, all the things that I've gone through before on this show. What's new here is the dice tab. So this is available for you all to play with and has moved into System Builder. So I'll go through what this actually does now for your custom games. So where you want to start is by adding a die, and that is exactly what you think it is. It is the description of some sort of die in your system. So for this, we're going to create a D6 die. There are a lot of D6 based systems out there, so we'll name it D6. This is what will show up in other places in the UI when you're creating actions, for example. We want it to have 6 die sides, and then you can upload an image for each side of your dice. So I'm going to go ahead and select some WebP assets that I had prepared for this. Great. So these are the faces for each side of the die. When you're rolling these in Alchemy, it will show these faces instead of just a plain number 1 for side 1, for example. And these are actually the dice from Tales from the Loop. So once I'm done with that, it's saved. I'm noticing a little bug up here with the saving thing showing forever, but it's working correctly. Next step is to create an action. So the dice tray now just uses actions like you would use on a character. So you can use all the power of actions to build out your dice tray. So we're going to create a dice pool action. We'll call it 4d6. And we're going to select the dice pool action type here. Doesn't make sense to use attributes or skills for this. I'm going to call it 4. And then from the list here, I will select that D6 custom die that I had defined. For the success values, we'll go with just 5s and 6s. And then for the failure values, let's be nice and just do 1. You can also have these actions do rerolls and exploding dice if you would like to do that. We'll turn those on for that action. So now you see a little preview of what the dice tray is going to look like in-game. You can do other stuff with these too, any action types that you'd like to have here. So you could, for example, create a D100 if that was something you really wanted in your system. You could set that up as easy as a dice roll action and then call it D100. And for the dice roll, define it as 1 D100. You're good to go. You could even do other kind of zany things like create a message. You could say something like, hail and well met. Call it hi. These can be dragged and dropped to rearrange them. So maybe we want hi to be the first thing in that dice tray, followed by these other 2 dice, like so. All right, now that we've defined our system, we can go ahead and create a game. So let's go to our library and create a game. And the important part here is for the game system, we want to select the same system that we just created. Those dice are only going to be available in games that have been created using that custom system. So we'll call that one Devlog 27 for the game name. And we don't need to select any modules here. We should be good to go. Quick starting a Devlog 27 game. So when we're in here, you notice that it has that kind of like dark olive green color that I had defined as the theme. So your theme comes along just as it used to. You can also, of course, choose between the theme for your connected universes or the default alchemy theme as you see fit for your game. But what we're mostly interested in here is the new dice tray. So we've got those 3 actions that I defined in my custom system universe. We can use those, like to roll that that message action right into the journal here, or our D6 dice pool. You can see it's using the custom dice faces that I had defined, and it's highlighting that 1 as a failure. I had no successes here, so that's all working great and as expected. And we can even roll that D100 that we had defined in our dice tray. Cool. So this is only available for custom systems right now, meaning custom universes using the custom game system, and then games that you create using that very same system. You can't retroactively add these to your games at the moment, but we will be enhancing this to make it available to any system in the future. And we'll also be just making it more awesome, doing more good things to it. So expect a lot more from custom system dice and that awesome system builder tab here soon. Let's go over to our game again and take a look at the new persistent encounter features. I'm going to go ahead and use our custom game. This works in any system, but we'll use this one as our first test here. I'll go ahead and add my test account here as a player. So we have a player, and I'll create a character for him named Jim. And let's go ahead and throw a couple of NPCs in here as well. We'll just go with the very creatively titled NPC1, new NPC1, and new NPC2. Make these visible. I'll make one of them visible, actually. Okay. All right, we've got Jim online now, and we have one NPC visible. We want to turn on the turn order for this game. This is a custom game, so it doesn't have any rules for how ordering is defined. It just shuffles the participants randomly. So this time around, we ended up with new NPC 1 in the top of the order and Jim following. Let's go ahead and show new NPC 2 to add them to the encounter, and they get added in here at the end. I can move through this encounter like you would expect. So Jim is up now. And what's new here is this order is persistent, meaning it's going to stick around even after you leave the game or bad things happen to our servers. Your game will be right where you left it. So I left that game. I'm going to go ahead and jump back into it. And we've got our encounter still right where we left it. Everything's great here, and we can move things along. So you can now leave those encounters for next session. If you're in the middle of an encounter and people are just getting tired, this is one great way you can just leave, come back later. It'll be right where you left it. And another kind of interesting aspect of this is that you can now move these across to different scenes. So let me set this scene up real quick for you. Okay, we've got a second scene here that I pulled in from another module. We're in combat and we need to move to a different scene. Previously, that would end the encounter because things could change across scenes. Now, that encounter stays active and you can still move through the turn order as you see fit. In case you accidentally change scenes or the encounter's moving from scene to scene and you want to have that encounter keep going, you can do it. I will say that there are some kind of weird edge cases here that you can get yourself into, right? Because not every scene is going to have the same NPCs. So you may see a different list of hidden NPCs here when you move to another scene. And when you hide NPCs from that encounter, they may not show up because they're from another scene, right? So just exercise some caution with that. We're going to be working on making the kind of edges around that better, probably after we get the V1 features done. But if there are any big bug reports for this, we'll definitely jump on those. So this was it in a custom game. It's of course also working for other systems like Vaesen, for example. You can get that turn order going on, move people around, move up and down, it'll persist. I'll just leave that one going. Always good to just leave as many encounters open as I can. And of course, things like 5e, which has probably the most initiative stuff going on right now. We have all of that happening here as well. So if I flip on initiative, I think one thing to note for 5e is that you used to see all of those dice rolls land in the journal. We got rid of that because it was just a big wall of spam when you'd start an encounter, especially with multiple participants in it. Now you only see those in the encounter panel itself. So if you're the GM, you'll see all of those initiative rolls in here. If you're a player, you won't see any of the initiative rolls right now. We might reveal those again, maybe with like an initiative summary card or something like that. Haven't quite figured out what we want to do there, but for now, those rolls just aren't there anymore so that we can speed up that getting into encounter without just completely wiping the entire journal with, 27 initiative rolls coming in. But you can trust your GM knows what the order is or what those initiative rolls are, and you as a player will be able to see what the order is over here in the encounter tab. So keep that in mind for systems like 5e where initiative rolls are happening in the background. You just won't see them anymore as a player. And just like with the custom game that we were looking at, this order is persisted. So if you leave the game and come back, it's going to be right on that turn where you left it. I think the only thing that'll change is the timer, right? That's going to be for your current session, but that's just how it works today. Cool. So let us know what you think of the new persistent encounter. And we're very happy to have that one checked off of our V1 list after so many months of looking at that one. And we think it's pretty great. All right, next up, let's talk about Coriolis. Coriolis is the next system that we are working on here. We're working on the code to make Coriolis work in an awesome way, but we have released it, along with everything else, to our Kickstarter backers just last night. So if you're a Kickstarter backer, I'll explain more about what the Wave 5 deliverable means in a moment, but let's talk about Coriolis for right now. I'm going to jump into my purchase universes here and jump into the Coriolis universe. So we've got all the articles, some NPCs, some pre-mades, items, scenes, and assets all ready to rock for Coriolis. So from an ingestion standpoint, this title is pretty much done. We have character sheets ready to go for some of the characters in here, and NPC sheets are also ready to go. I think the outstanding things for Coriolis are initiative rules, game experience panels, and a few kind of smaller pieces like that. So Coriolis is very close to being ready for prime time. Let's go ahead and create a new Coriolis game to take a look at what the game experience looks like. So if you're an alpha tester, aka Kickstarter backer who just received a whole boatload of codes last night, you will see this pop up from time to time when you're launching different games and when you're creating different games. So any system that we consider to be in kind of alpha state, which I think Coriolis we could move to beta today, so you won't see this anymore for Coriolis. But any system that's not quite ready for prime time yet, we give you this heads up because we're still working on stuff. It's going to change a lot. The game experience is the thing that'll probably change the most. So we wanted to let you create these games so that you could start playing with the stuff that you got, but not necessarily, give you the expectation that everything's going to be completely finished and in working order. So we'll go ahead and create that game. The enhanced edition has really cool motion design for all of the scenes. For example, this one, I may have shown this one in the past, but it's pretty cool. Also got this temple of the icons. Nice little dust effect happening here. Very moody. There's also, of course, enhanced audio for all of these. I'll give a little taster of that before I mute it again. So, from a gameplay standpoint, Coriolis looks a whole lot like anything else you play on Alchemy. We'll take a look at the NPCs first. We have a bunch of NPCs from the system itself in here. This one has a picture. We'll go ahead and add one of those. And let's play it to see what it's got going on. Hit point trackers, mind point trackers, some abilities here. You can roll strength and agility tests. Opening up the character sheet, we see all of the cool stuff for this character, for this NPC. Your abilities and skills up here, your special attributes and description. And of course, the edit side is pretty much dialed in for the system as well. You can go in and edit all of the attributes that you may have for the character, skills, and of course the core alchemy stuff such as gear or equipment, different trackers, the primaries, and then any secondaries that you want to include in the tracker panel, and the ever-present actions, which it looks like this one's set up with a very cool mangling jaws. Oh, that's a lot of dice. Cool. On the player character side of things, the player character sheets are ready. We'll go ahead and add my test account here as a player and play them to create a new character. We do have some pre-mades here. I think these may need a small update today as of some changes that we rolled out last night, but you can pick from one of these and get a whole lot for free. For free meaning no effort from you. So we'll take Dr. Armida Wana as our pre-made character, who comes with some abilities, some equipment, proximity sensor, very handy, a portable laboratory, nice, and some trackers preset for this character. We can go in and adjust our stats for strength, agility, wits, and empathy as needed for this character, and then those rolls will be a lot more exciting. So now we can make our tests for wits, for example. The skills work a whole lot like other Year Zero engine titles. You can go in and edit them to adjust their value, or if you needed to change the name or ability that's attached to it, you could do that here as well. And if you were creating something kind of custom, you can edit its description, or even edit the description of something in the core set if you wanted to. So then you can test your dexterity, which uses agility, and get that result here. Next up, I think we need to define initiative and a couple of other kind of polishing items for Coriolis, but it's very close to done. And if you are a Kickstarter backer who backed on a tier with Coriolis included, you have access to the alpha/beta-ish state of it today. All right. That is Coriolis. Let's go take a look at the roadmap and talk a little bit about what's up next. So we have recently delivered Persistent Encounters. That's this week. We have the dice customization that was out last week before, moved into System Builder this week with the kind of structure, the foundations of System Builder in place for your custom games. And we're using that extensively on the back end to build out systems for you all as well. Up next, we've got a return to streamer mode. We're going to focus on that a bit more and try to get a kind of a minimum viable product for streamer mode out here very soon. I'll have an update for that by next devlog episode for sure. And then we have the highly requested tactical token customization project ready to pick up. We've got to do token rotations, and that's the biggest one. People need that for like naval combat, and it's needed for some space combat, things like that. That part of this will happen first, and then we may have some time to do customized backgrounds and borders for tokens after that. So still in the forefront of our mind, you can see this is one of the last items on our V1 features list before you get into the game systems. Speaking of game systems, Coriolis is in progress. I just showed you that. We have other Year Zero engine or Year Zero adjacent systems to choose from coming up next. We've got Twilight 2000 and Mutant Year Zero, as well as Forbidden Lands, which is a little bit different. It's got its own kind of special dice pool rules, but it's Year Zero-ish. After that, we've of course got some bigger ones like Dragonbane, Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu, and Vampire. This list is more or less in the order that we'll be attacking them, but there will be more of us working on these in the very near future. So expect these to kind of light up, maybe not necessarily in order as we pick up different parts and multiple people start working on mechanizing systems. We've also delivered a bunch of kind of more custom systems that are down below at the bottom of the list. And you can see kind of what the status is on those here. This is probably a good time to talk about the Wave 5 delivery for Kickstarter backers. So we delivered all of the codes to Kickstarter backers in their current state. What is the current state? It depends on the title. Some of them are further along than others. You can see from this list that things like Coriolis, it's in progress. We can call that one kind of beta. Most of the things are there. We'll probably be fixing up a few kind of loose ends there. I know we have at least another week worth of development time on patching up the things for Coriolis, but it's pretty close. Something like Twilight 2000, if you're a Kickstarter backer, you got a code for this. Well, if you're a Kickstarter backer and you backed at a tier where Twilight 2000 was included, you got a code for that. It's not quite as far along. Something like Pathfinder, very much not as far along. But all of these have a ton of content in them already in the universes that you can start reading today. And you can get in games and start using it to play around, build scenes, look at the cool Alchemy enhanced assets where they're available, listen to the music. You could play a game if you really wanted to put in the effort. It's not advisable for something like Pathfinder, I would say. But just do so at your own risk. If you want to start playing with games on these, there's not really anything stopping you. We didn't stop that ability in the UI or anything like that. So let's take another look at Coriolis. I think we have a good example of a README article in here. So all of the Wave 5 titles will have a README as the first article that you see. And if you pop this open, it'll give you kind of an overview of what the status is of this system. So for Coriolis, again, this one's much farther along. You can see what's in development, ship sheets coming soon, character generator. Initiative's just a shuffle, so I guess that's technically done now. We have a little bit more work to do on items, and then of course, bug fixes and improvements, always doing that stuff. So pay close attention to the READMEs in the content that you redeem if you're a Kickstarter backer, and it will give you the latest, most up-to-date information for the status of your beloved game system. we'll be keeping them up to date as we fix things too. So with Coriolis being nearly complete, and everything having been delivered digitally to Kickstarter backers, we're going to be changing our delivery a little bit going forward by releasing content on the marketplace as it's done. So we did this already with Vaesen. As you can see, our marketplace has been taken over by Vaesen. You can buy all of the Vaesen stuff. You can get the Core Rulebook Enhanced Edition. You can get the Core Rulebook. You can get a Wicked Secret. You can get Mythic, Britain and Ireland, Seasons of Mystery. It's all here. And one very cool thing to note is that they all include the PDF as well. So when you buy any of these titles on the Alchemy Marketplace, you can download the PDF included in your purchase. So you get all of the digital stuff for the system in Alchemy. So if we go in here, you get all the articles and characters and scenes and assets and everything, but you can also just go in and download the PDF for it and read the PDF from Free League exactly as they had released it. So great benefit of buying these on Alchemy. And when we finish up when we finish up Coriolis, you can expect that to hit the marketplace when it's done and when it's ready. No more kind of waiting for everything to be done and then release it. Really, the reason for that was we didn't want to put things on the marketplace that Kickstarter backers hadn't gotten yet. But now Kickstarter backers have a code for everything and they'll be getting their physical rewards very soon. So we're in the clear to start releasing things to our marketplace. So keep an eye for cool new stuff here soon. Okay, that was a cool aside on Wave 5 and Kickstarter stuff. Let's get back into what's coming next. We've got all those systems, but what's not really visible here on the roadmap is things that we don't really consider part of the V1 push, and that is System Builder. So you saw how System Builder works today. We are focusing very heavily on building out the sheet builder part of System Builder, which will help us build out character sheets for these game systems that we need to support. But it will also eventually be a tool for you to create your character sheets for your game systems as well. And the reason it's not on this roadmap anymore, it was for a moment, it's not here anymore because we're not considering it a V1 core feature. We're building it, we're using it, but it's probably not going to be fully available to you right away. And we're not going to hold off stamping our V1 release over System Builder features because it wasn't originally slated as a V1 core feature. So we're still working on it. We still have a lot of resources focused on building that out. And you will be able to use it eventually. You saw the parts that you can see already today. But yeah, it's just not on the roadmap that you see for V1 anymore. We will be doing a big roadmap update soon and kind of mapping out what we'll be doing this year after the V1 kind of version stamp lands. So expect some cool updates here soon. I don't know when exactly, but sometime soon, TM. All right. We've got a little bit of Q&A today, so let's jump into that. Trotta, less of a question and more of a suggestion. Rolling dice is fun. I would love to have an option to make the rolls for an attack and damage separate. It would be nice to be able to roll the attack first, wait for the DM to declare whether it hit, and then roll damage after. Not only does this give players more fun dice rolls to make, but it also prevents a situation where you roll really high damage but miss on your attack. Definitely feel you on that one. I've had those before. Perhaps there could be a roll damage button that appears under the attack roll result. Yeah, so we actually made a decision very early on in development to not do this because it can slow down combat by a lot, at least in our opinions. And we were playing a lot of 5e back then, and it just dragged. And waiting for somebody to click the thing and they stepped away to refill their beverage or whatever, it was just like a point that we saw dragging combat down. So we made the decision not to do it at all and just to roll everything up front and then you can keep things moving. However, I do think that this is definitely a good thing to consider as an option for players who do want to use it and groups that are really in tune and focused and ready to click things. This would be a really fun way to play. So I do love the idea of it, and I think that we should consider making this an option. However, I don't think that we'll do that until after we get all of our kind of V1 stuff wrapped up. Thank you for the suggestion, Trotta. Vaesen Initiative. In Vaesen, the creatures can have abilities that affect their initiative and are worded based on the card drawing initiative process. Is there a plan to enable those abilities, such as drawing twice, choose highest, or draw twice, go twice, in Alchemy? Paul. So very good to know that there are those abilities. I know I missed that when I was just looking at the book the other day to see kind of what we needed to do for initiative. Our first pass at it is just a shuffle, and then you can move people with drag and drop. So that's kind of the simple approach to initiative that covers whatever percentage of scenarios that is, probably above 90%. Yeah, knowing that you need to have the ability to draw twice and choose highest, or go twice, is very important. So we definitely will note this down and get that improvement slated for Vaesen. The Walking Dead. Hello, hope the team is well and that you all had a good start to the new year. I was wondering if there's any chance that we can get The Walking Dead TTRPG by Free League Publishing soon. In the last update, you mentioned you're considering which TTRPG to work on alongside Coriolis. I would like to make the case for The Walking Dead. Number one, it's another D6 system with similar mechanics. Fundamentals are in place. It's a huge IP with a cult following. It has walkers. That's a big one right there. Perfect setting for Alchemy story focus. And please... Anyway, just my 2 pence worth. Thanks, Martin. Yeah, great suggestion, Martin. We will be focusing on the V1 titles first. The Walking Dead is not one of the titles in our V1 Kickstarter, so it has to be bumped down the list so that we can get all that stuff done for Kickstarter backers first. However, I will say it is on our content roadmap. If you scroll way down here to the post V1 content, you'll see the Walking Dead RPG, and it's got a nice little white bubble here. So we know about it, and we are going to be adding it after V1. And in fact, I took a peek, and we already have some articles written for it. So it's sort of a little bit in progress, at least like starting to scaffold out that content. So definitely made a strong case here, Martin. But I think we'll have to keep that on the post V1 content for now and get those deliverables out to our Kickstarter backers first. But then you can definitely expect some walkers to land on the platform. All right, that's all for this episode of the Alchemy Devlog. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a fun one to put together, a little bit later than usual because of all the Wave 5 delivery wildness that we had going on at Alchemy HQ yesterday. But here it is. If you liked it, head on down below, hit that like button, subscribe for future updates, get that notification bell going on, do all the things that make the YouTube algorithm happy so that we can get these videos out to more folks. Thank you. We really appreciate it. With all that said, let's go play some games.